Welcome to Notepad. My name is Ibrahim Sani. I'll be your host this evening. We continue on our journey exploring some of the businesses that are currently operating during the movement control order. In particular, MyGroser. They are a delivery company delivering all your grocery and sundry shopping needs right now during MCO in and around Klang Valley. And of course, I'm pretty sure they are going to expand elsewhere around the country in the nearest future. We've had the co-founder of MyGroser on the show for a few times now, but it's nice to actually have him talk to us, particularly when it comes to how things have been for the past 5 weeks or so, or 40 plus days or so, operating under very, very interesting conditions. So joining me is Stefan Francis. Stefan, again, thanks for taking the time to speak with us. I'm pretty sure you're a very busy man right now, delivering all the requirements that your customers need. Let's talk a little bit about 40 odd days of operating under such a weird circumstance of the MCO.
Well, hello Ibrahim, and thank you for having me again. Always a pleasure. And yes, you and I seem to have very interesting conversations all the time. Although I think this one's one for the history books though. 40 days in the wilderness, of course. And we have adapted. We've been seeing a lot of things accelerate. We've seen problems that we never imagined, like supply chain issues. We've seen customers come out in force and support us in ways that have humbled us and gratified us. And we have also seen customers show up and be dissatisfied in ways that we could not have imagined. And we are doing our best to deal with that as well. But overall, I'm pleased to say that the business has grown quite a bit in the past 40 days. We've had to, and it's allowed us to serve our purpose. I think we spoke in the past about how we were a business, but we also had a purpose behind it. And these 40 days have brought those two very, very closely together.
You see, this is the whole point, right? When you started MyGroser, and I remember the first time you said this to me was, I don't know, 2017, I think, 2018, when we met. And I'm pretty sure operating during current pandemic situation was not part of the plan. But because, I mean, who can plan, right? Such a situation. But because of this, you have had to do a few things. Number one, you have a roadmap, you have a blueprint that you can rely on. But at the same time, you're going to have to throw all that out of the window, and you just have to think on your feet, and you just have to deliver. You just have to operate. And then I'm pretty sure you get all these messages. You know, the companies that are still delivering goods and services to your product, to your home. One of them is your name, MyGroser.com. It's still there. It's up there high. Ranked high. How do you get accustomed to the fact that there is no such thing as a blueprint? You really have to think on your feet. You really have to move forward and deal with whatever that is in front of you.
Well, we're very grateful for the attention, truth be told. It's very hard, and quite frankly, it's a bit unnerving at times when people recognize the brand where previously we had to explain it. The blueprint was always an expansive one. We always knew we would grow. We always knew that we would serve. We didn't think that we would have to compress an 18-month plan into 40 days. And elements of our roadmap for the next 18 months have now been brought to life very quickly. And one of the things that benefited us was that I have a team behind me. So no one on the founding team was young to the business. All of them had brought decades of experience in fields, from technology to grocery. We have very, very strong grocery players, to people with a background in psychology who help our 60 to 100 people work through this period. And look, I show up to work and wow, that's amazing. But I say, not really. One of 100 people who show up every day and put their own health at risk because they serve. They understand that every package we send out, whether it has everything you ordered in it or not, but every package we send out is a family that doesn't have to go outside and go down to a market or supermarket and potentially get infected.
And that's why we do this during this period. And it's more expensive for us to do it. We've taken on a lot of costs that we didn't expect to have to do. But how can we not do it when we're the ones who can?
Yeah, let's talk about your own capacity and capability to do this, because money doesn't grow on trees, but at the same time, you guys are still a startup, and therefore you have a runway of the kind of cash that you can burn before you guys, have a lot of time to think about your own future. How's things coming along from the funding aspect of the company, or are the sales enough to actually keep the business going on?
So the thing is, we've got about easily 6 months of runway ahead of us without really pushing. We have been very frugal in that sense. The business has grown exponentially this year. So from the beginning of this year, we've seen exponential growth. And over the past 40 days, we've seen that our business grow by 10 times and then grow again. So we've grown quite well in that period. The margins have held stable. Our cost of delivery has spiraled, of course, in a way that we could never have imagined. But it's also given us a view of what could happen in the worst case scenarios. And now we have ways to deal with that as well. The processes that were put in place over the past 2 years, they were theoretical and they were what-if scenarios. But because we had sort of stress tested the system, you know my background with issues management, so we had stress tested the system to some extent. We had actually managed to predict some of the situations we're facing today. We never imagined pandemics, but we did imagine natural disasters, and the same thinking applies there, right? We had not imagined supply chains breaking because of police roadblocks. And mind you, a lot of people say, oh, you know, the roadblocks, and I say, you know what, guys, the cops are doing an amazing job. They're standing outside with the army, and they're keeping us safe from people who just go out and wander around for no good reason. And yes, some of us are going to get caught in it when we have a reason to be there, but be grateful. That's why Malaysia is one of the best responses on the planet to this pandemic. Right? So our systems have adapted to it. Our technology has stood up to the test of the strain. Our app has actually evolved through this period in fundamental ways. And over the next 100 days, we're rolling out further enhancements that are building us for the next wave of this pandemic when it comes, if it comes, but also taking us further along the roadmap that we have. In terms of the investment side of things, we continue to talk to potential investors. We have a few interested parties, but we're still looking for the right partners. We have, however, teamed up with some amazing brands, which means for the rest of the year, our incoming base of consumers are quite strong.
You see, Stefan, the thing about a business like yours is that sometimes you need the kind of push, the kind of dramatic events to actually get people on board on your service. And I'm one of them, you know, and I call myself a native tech, a native, digital native, or whatever you would call it, right? And it's not just about me having, you know, a Facebook account. It's me doing everything, you know, online shopping per se. However, grocery shopping, I still take it personally because I want to go out to the supermarket. I really want to touch the vegetables, see the vegetable for myself, compare, you know, one product over the other. And I might want to buy carrots, but then when I see something else, I want to buy tomatoes instead. I don't want to buy carrots, you know, because something came up in my mind, and you know, that kind of stuff. And I'm not alone, and I'm not unique. The thing is, with a product like yours, and believe me when I say this, right? I've tried all the grocery shopping sites that can be tried and tested. I've tried and tested all of them. But yours is something unique because it brings about that freshness, that quality to it. It brings about the idea of it's like I went there and shopped myself. That's the best part, right? That kind of feeling is also quite unique for me. And I'm thinking, you know what? Moving forward, even if there's no COVID, even if there's no more pandemic, I really might want to move ahead and make this a lifestyle choice of mine. Have you prepared that for your consumers, where people, you know, I mean, after the pandemic, I'm pretty sure there will be changes in the consumer take-up. People will drop off, or more people will sign on. I mean, I hope more people will sign on. But have you wondered whether or not the people that you have right now, the customers that you have right now, will continue on to be with you despite the pandemic?
So that's a lot to unpack. Let me address it one by one. First of all, we fully expect that the greater number of people who signed up during this pandemic will remain as customers in one form or another. So the behavior that we've seen, we emphasize convenience, freshness, and value. A lot of people are going to keep using us for that convenience aspect. A lot of people have now seen the value concept, and a lot of them are seeing the freshness. But the reason that you say we're a little bit different perhaps is because of how we operate. So one of the things we did when we first started was, what happens, because I love grocery stores myself, right? It's a great experience, and I take my son with me, and it's a day out. But I don't want to do it every single week, and I don't want to do it all the time. But when I go, at least I pick up a carrot, I look at it and it's fresh. But what happens when I buy it online and it's not? So we have a very simple guarantee. If you buy from us and it's not where it should be, let's say the carrot's rotten, and this is fresh food, it's going to happen every once in a while, despite our best efforts. If you show us a picture and it's rotten, we give you your money back or we replace the product. And that's been one of the major differentiators, the fact that we built this into our business straight away. And it's complex to do because it's not easy to manage a supply chain like that, sending out a carrot. But we do that, and that's part one. In terms of value, we make sure that we are rigorous in terms of how we price things. And you have the convenience, which means you save time on money, you save time on traffic, you save on your refund process, and we refund you within 7 days for out-of-stock items in the form of stock credit, right? And if there is a problem, we have live chat and we have customer care who do their best. Mind you, sometimes they get overwhelmed, but they're doing their best. And that, I think, is going to be why a lot of customers continue to use us after the pandemic, especially for the next 18 months. Look, this pandemic isn't going away. And it's the beginning of a long period of recovery for the country. People need to be working. They don't have time to spend 3 hours getting to a store and coming back.
So does that mean that you're going to, I guess, scale up your business? Because, and in a dramatic sense, not just, getting one more truck. No, I'm thinking 1,000 trucks extra moving forward. What's the story there?
So, ironically, as part of building the business, we also figured out that we need far fewer trucks than most other delivery services because we built a routing algorithm that allows us greater efficiency. And the way we package things actually allows it to stay fresher for longer. And that's been a tremendous boom. However, we have grown our delivery fleet by a factor of 6 times in the past 40 days. We've grown our ability to deliver in terms of delivery slots by a factor of 10 times in the past 40 days. And we've stayed online. In fact, we're not one of the few, if not the only one, that has consistently been able to take orders and deliver them throughout this period. We're very proud of that. It's been a tremendous strain on us. There were a couple of times when we stumbled a little bit, but we stayed up and we kept coming back. Moving forward, the plans are to actually increase the number of cloud stores in the Klang Valley. We are actively looking at the expansion outside of the Klang Valley, and we're starting to look at the regional expansion as well.
All right, we'll take a short break, Stefan. Before we continue on our conversation, particularly I want to ask you about your supply chain. For the rest, don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is Notepad. I am with MyGroser.com. They are a delivery company currently making their rounds in and around Kuala Lumpur and perhaps beyond very soon. Joining me is their co-founder, I'm not too sure how many co-founders you have, Stefan, Francis. Stefan, before we went for the break just now, you were talking about your own capacity and capabilities in terms of your own company delivering what you can for your customers. However, there's another side of this, which is your suppliers. And suppliers do come very hard these days because they themselves are undergoing intense pressure to deliver on their own part, right? And we've seen pictures of vegetables going bad, Cameron Highlands vegetables going bad, chicken sellers that they can't move out their carcass, they can't move out their chicken poultry produce out because of their own limitations and restrictions. How have you been, I guess, coping in dealing with your own supply chain?
So, first of all, I have to say the suppliers, the manufacturers, the farms, the distributors have done their absolute best. I've been blessed that many of our people have stepped up and tried. Despite that, there have been failures, obviously, large ones in some instances and funny ones in others, but disappointing ones to our customers, but everyone's trying their best. And so I can't fault anyone on that side. But in terms of how we've managed, one of the first things we did, and this is very important, because of the background of our co-founders, we actually identified the potential for contamination of some of the supply sites very early on. And we built alternative supply lines. So for instance, our vegetables don't come from just the market, they come direct from the plantations, from the distribution sites outside of the Klang Valley. And that's allowed us to actually keep that clean. So right now you're reading news of some market sites being contaminated and supplies not being available. We're not affected as badly because we had supply lines. Some manufacturers were not able to get to us for some product lines, product categories like yogurt. A lot of it was imported. So we've been working on local supply lines from local manufacturers. And that was actually important because we've always had a strong focus on bringing Malaysian brands out and profiling them. So this has just accelerated that even further. And we already had some of that. We're working directly with producers. So we're helping them to get their products out from the farms and the fisheries and getting it into us. But with the caveat that we only list things that we're sure of. So for much of the MCO, we refused to put any seafood on our service because we couldn't verify how old that seafood was going to be. Where did it come from? Was it safe? Now, as of this week, we started putting it back on because the suppliers have been verified. We managed to make sure that if someone buys a fish from us, it's clean, right? And that's very important to us as well. And we had a lot of customers, some of them were quite abusive actually, and go like, what kind of rotten service are you because you don't have seafood? And
wow, really?
Yeah. We've had customers who go, oh, you didn't send me your chicken and you're very bad, I'm going to give you 1 star on the store. And I go, but we gave you back your money. Oh, I don't want my money, I want the chicken. We don't have chicken to give you. And they're very upset, but we understand this. Look, if you're trapped at home for 40 days and all you want to do is eat some chicken or some fish, and you're scared, you're terrified, you got to lash out at someone. And our guys understand that. We take it with the knowledge that these are not the way these people actually are. They're just scared, right? And it's part of our purpose, part of our service. Beat up on our customer service people, and we smile and we feel a little bit better after that. But the supply chains have been there. Now, because we also own our own delivery fleets, that's very important. It makes us unique as well. Our vehicles can, in some instances, go down to the site, pick up the stock and come back. Very few people can do that because we are the only, and I say that carefully, but I believe we're the only independent full-service grocery in that we have fresh produce, seafood, meat, a bakery, and all the other products on site. We have a great amount of flexibility and leverage to actually work with suppliers who want to work to get products out there. Now, there are some of them who just couldn't because they can't get their workers into their own sites. And unfortunately, that's true. So we have trimmed some of the product offerings during the MCO. But for the greater number of them, if you visit the site, you'll see that vegetables, meat, eggs, right? Milk products, chips, snacks, things that you need for every day and things that you need to feel better, your favorite beverages, you can still get many of them. And that's important.
Let's talk about subscription service. Do you have any plans for that?
Yes.
That's it? Come on, man. You got to give us more.
Yes, the subscription, that was tempting though. The subscription service is something that we'll be rolling out later this year. And it's part of a much broader range of services that we're offering. We actually hope to roll it out within the next 3 to 6 months. But it's a little bit of a twist to what you normally expect, because I think that you need to deliver tremendous value before you ask someone to subscribe to your service. The comparison I like to make is when you look at on-demand services like Netflix, right? You pay them $10 a month, and in return, you feel that you got enough value for that, so you pay them again the next month. That's the same thinking that we use here. Otherwise, you just have to stay free. So we come in with different options. One will be a free tier membership, one will be a paid tier membership, and there'll be enough benefits in that. You sit there going, wow, you know what? I think I'm getting the better end of this. And if you can say that, then we've done our job. But right now, the focus is really on just strengthening the back end of the system, because we have a tremendous volume of business coming in that we can't even touch right now because our delivery slots are already full. But we are opening new delivery slots every single day. It's a commitment from our team, and we've been doing that throughout the MCO.
Let's talk about consumer behavior a bit. Do you think that you're getting a bigger range of consumers in terms of age group, in terms of demography, not just about location, but in terms of the psychographic of the consumer makeup right now?
Yes, absolutely. Prior to the MCO, we had a very specific set of consumers, and they stretched across different age ranges, but you knew who they were and you know where they came from. Right now, we're seeing a lot of first-time users, and we suspect they're first-time e-commerce users in general, because the questions and the complaints they're posing show that they've never used an e-commerce site in their life. We have people who obviously have never cooked in their lives, because they're coming in and asking us questions. And we're looking at this and we're going, you've watched the cooking show, and now you're asking us this question. We're seeing people who have not had to shop for their own food. Again, it's very easy to spot these individuals, and we try and be as supportive as we can. Many of the complaints we're getting are from these groups as well, because they're not familiar with how services work. It doesn't help that we're a premium level service, so we do have certain terms and conditions where, for instance, we don't do cash refunds, and many of them are demanding to know why. And we're like, well, we told you we're not going to do it. However, during the MCO, we make allowances on a case-by-case basis, but it still takes time. We can't just send you cash back, and we certainly can't send it to your credit card because our security levels are so high that we don't even keep that data on hand. So we're seeing a lot of new customers, and many of them are appreciative of the service, and we believe that we'll convert them. Many of them have already become repeat customers as well. We're seeing existing customers continue with us. We're seeing a lot of customers come to us and their first purchase is very rocky, and we're hoping to give them a better experience moving forward. But yes, a lot more variety, a lot more demand, and it's helping us to refine how we do things to help first-time customers better as well.
So does this mean that you're going to employ a little bit of machine learning or artificial learning at the back end in order to make your process a little bit easier for you to serve your own customers?
So we've actually already started doing that, but for us, machine learning is more important to the supply chain. So one of the biggest challenges of running a grocery online is people expect the same level of readiness as you do when you go into a store. Now, outside of a pandemic, that's not an issue most of the time. But what we're doing now is we're looking at what happens if this happens again. So our machine learning development right now is focused on improving the supply chain, predictability of the supply chain, looking at what customers might want. So it's sort of taking the position of a buyer in our organization and amalgamating all that knowledge. And we're teaching our engines to actually better understand how this works.
We're towards the end of the interview, but I just want to get your feeling and your thoughts about you as an entrepreneur operating during the MCO, during this pandemic actually. What are your thoughts? What is the thing that is going through your mind right now when you wake up and you go about your business? And you pull the things that you do? What's going through your mind right now?
So, jokes aside, I wake up every morning and ask myself, do we have enough chicken? that's actually been a huge problem, right? But the irony of that is it's something that's so commonplace to Malaysia, but it's become so difficult to quality control. And mind you, it's no one's fault. A lot of these people are very, very established brands, but because of everything that's going on, sometimes supplies get compromised. So as an entrepreneur, I'm getting up every morning and saying, are my people going to be healthy? Can I keep them going one more day? Can we continue to serve our customers one more day? Can we keep our technology running one more day? And day by day, we're always in day one right now. Every day is day one. Every day is a renewal of who we are and a renewal of our purpose. And it is, again, a chance to show up, do what we're supposed to do the best that we can, learn from today, and move on to tomorrow. And for that, we've been doing it for 40 days, and that's grateful, and I can't complain.
Right. Speaking of which, there was this one time that you were showing me this, like a ready-to-cook kind of package. So how are you coming along with that?
It's coming along nicely. We still haven't actually launched it. I mean, it's available on the service, but the official launch got delayed because of the COVID situation. Yeah. But there has been demand of that.
No, because you were mentioning that people are cooking for the first time. People don't have, or they've been cooking all their lives, but they just don't have enough time to go about and buy and pre-select and everything. You just give them the box, they cook it. Yeah. So I perhaps we can have something like that soon.
The thing about those boxes is we're seeing a lot more people going on pandemic shopping, so they tend to stock up on a lot of stuff. We actually had a customer call us 2 days ago. Go, hey, I have an order coming in tomorrow, but can I delay it by 4 days? We go, of course, but can we ask why? They go, I kind of bought so much stuff that I'm out of space in my kitchen. And we're like,
my God.
and we're like, okay, that's cool. We can delay it by 4 days, not an issue. They go, okay, thank you so much. But we imagine, and we're looking at our customer data, we're seeing these waves, and we imagine a fair number of our customers have actually overstocked right now. And that's not a bad thing, but we're hoping that they don't go to waste as well. So a lot of people, we're telling them, hey, don't worry, we have stocks every day arriving. That's how we stay fresh and we stay safe. That's part of the problem as well. That's why the instability in the supply line, right? But we'd rather upset a few customers by being unstable in that sense, but at least everything that goes out, we know has a 90-95% chance of being absolutely fresh. That's very important to us.
Right, Stefan, thanks very much for taking the time to speak with us. This is Stefan Francis, the founder of MyGroser.com. Again, I'm a customer of theirs, full disclaimer right there, but it's always a fun place to actually talk to e-commerce business, internet business, particularly during these very interesting times of MCO. Again, thanks, Stefan, for speaking the time with us.
Be safe.
All right, that was Stefan of MyGroser. If you've missed any part of this interview, just head on to astro.com, look for Notepad over there. You can search for these kind of interviews that can be found there. Again, search for Notepad on astro.com. You can also listen to this interview on your mobile devices. Just download the Astro AWANI app, wherever you get the application. Until then, thanks very much for watching and goodbye.